saw that the moment this beast rose from the sea, the deadly wound had already been healed. But what do you mean? You may say, what do you mean? What are you trying to say? Well, I'm going to show you the implication. I'm going to talk in very simple terms. I try to write very simple so we can, speak clearly and direct. Notice, as I'm going to repeat a few times because this takes some repetition. As this beast rose out of the sea, Revelation 13:1, John noticed that one of its head seemed to have had a deadly wound, but the deadly wound had already been healed by the time it rose. Traditionally, Adventists have believed this beast represents the Catholic Church and that this beast rose to power in 538. Now, with an open mind and a heart that yearns and loves after truth, please consider this. Reason with me. We all know historically and agree that the deadly wound was not inflicted until the year 1798. And John affirms that when the beast rose from the sea, the deadly wound had already been healed. So if the beast is the Catholic Church and it rose in 538, how could the deadly wound be healed in 538 if the deadly wound was not even inflicted until 1798? I want to hear, Are you following this? See, let me say it in a different way as this takes some repetition until it sinks in, okay? John said in Revelation 13:3 that when the beast rose from the sea, he noticed that the beast seemed to have had a deadly wound. But the deadly wound had already been healed by the time he rose. This forces the beast to rise after 1798. Because how could a deadly wound be healed before it's inflicted? If the Catholic Church rose in 538, and if the beast is the Catholic Church alone, and the beast rose in 538, then John would not see a wound that is healed. Because it had not even been inflicted. How can it be healed? Are you following this? Okay, so I know you have a lot of questions. You're thinking about that one head. Yeah, we're going to talk about it, and you see how this is a lot more amazing than we have seen in the past. Now, so it is impossible for this beast to represent the Catholic Church alone because the Catholic Church rose to power in 538 and the deadly wound was not inflicted until 1798. And John is clear in Revelation 13, see I'm repeating so many times, that by the time this beast rises out of the sea, the deadly wound had already been healed. Therefore, this beast has to rise after 1798, for a wound cannot be healed before it's inflicted. Sorry, it's my fault. All right. Now, you have a lot of questions. We're going to cover them. Now, God in His mercy, now notice, God in His mercy has generously identified one of the head of the beast as Catholicism, the head that suffered a deadly wound, right? Now watch this. Think about it. If one of the seven heads is Catholicism, and all seven heads are guilty of blasphemy, what do you suppose the other six heads represent? Let me say it in a different way. Remember the beast in Revelation 13 has seven heads. Each head has a blasphemous name. This indicates that they're all heads are religious in nature and they are all anti-Christ. We also know that the head that was wounded, Catholicism, or the one head that was wounded is Catholicism or the papacy, right? Now, there are seven heads, that is, they are seven of the same thing. Because they all have a blasphemous name. Now watch this. Because the wounded healed head represents a religious system, the papacy, the remaining six heads must also represent religious systems. Okay? In other words, each head is guilty of blasphemy, which means that all 7 heads have to do with worship and religion. So if the head that suffered a deadly wound represents the papacy, what do the other 6 heads represent? The 7 heads of the composite beast represent the 7 religious systems of the world. That is atheism, heathenism, Judaism, Islam, Eastern mysticism, Catholicism, and Protestantism. Catholicism, notice very carefully, Catholicism is simply one of the 7 heads of the beast and not the beast itself. Amen. Do you see that from the Bible? The other 6 heads are the other world religions which along with Catholicism forms this 7 heads beast. Every sect and denomination on earth can be found within one of the 7 major world religions. You see, the book of Revelation, it's a revelation of Jesus Christ to the whole world, not just to Christians, that is 18% of the population of the world. It's a revelation. He loves a Muslim and atheist as much as he loves any religion, any Christian religion. Therefore, the revelation is to the world. But we have kept this so confined because by nature, we're so selfish because we're Christians and we like to just think of ourselves and not about the whole world. All right? Now, let me explain why this beast is called the composite beast. Notice, the beast I saw resembled a leopard, but had feet like those of a bear and a mouth like that of a lion. And the dragon gave the beast his throne and great authority. Did you notice that this beast is composite of many different parts? Even more than the ones in Daniel. Well, let me explain why this is the case. Because of the first 4 trumpets will destroy much of the world and its population, the survivors will seek to appease God's wrath by forming a government crisis coalition with the purpose of legislating and enforcing morality. That's what this beast is all about. This government crisis coalition, she rises out of the sea because the whole world is involved. Every tongue, nation, kings and tongues and people. This government crisis coalition will be formed by the 7 world religions represented by the 7 heads and by 10 of the most powerful world nations represented by the 10 horns. More on the horns later. During the first trumpets, the religious and political leaders of the world will unite in an effort or in an endeavor to appease the wrath of God. They will create a global authority, which is the beast in Revelation 13, that will be responsible for helping the nations of the world to appease God so they can all survive. Because they think they're all going to die. So, since the Roman Catholic Church is the prominent religion of the world with approximately 1 billion members and diplomatic relations with almost 200 nations and functions under one single leader that is immortal because they always have a new one. You and I will die and the Pope will still be here. Then what happens is the Pope will be selected and elected as the head of the beast. Now watch. World leaders will select the Pope to be the head of this crisis government coalition. And remember, when this beast is formed, the deadly wound will have been healed. The healing of the wounded head points forward to a time when a Pope will be restored to a position that has persecuting power, just like in the past. Now keep in mind,
targets, do you feel persecuted?
This is another point that we need to keep in mind, that when this happens, the Pope will not be able, well, no, I made a mistake. This should be, say, will not be able to impose Catholic beliefs on non-Catholics. Approximately 85% of the world is non-Catholics. Okay? His purpose is not to convert everyone to Catholicism, but instead, the Pope will, and I'll show you this from the Bible, instead the Pope will be appointed to lead a coalition of religious leaders united in an endeavor to appease God on a nation-by-nation basis, so the wrath of God will cease. Okay, Daniel 7:25 and 26 is very clear that the Catholic Church will never, are you guys hearing this? The Catholic Church will never once again has the power to impose Catholic beliefs on people. Never again. Let me show you this. Daniel 7:25, he, the little horn, will speak against the Most High and oppress his holy people and try to change the set times and the laws. The holy people will be delivered into his hands for 1,260 years. But in 1798, we studied this on study number 8, the court will sit and his power will be taken away and completely destroyed. What part of forever don't we understand? His power will be destroyed forever. In other words, in 1798, Catholicism lost its power forever. Never again will the Catholic Church have the power to impose Catholicism on people. When the notice this, when the composite beast is formed, and the Pope will be the head of that coalition, and the wound is healed, the Catholic Church will speak on behalf of the composite beast to appease God's wrath and not on its own behalf and its own interest. Okay? That's a total different purpose than he had in the Dark Ages, which was to enforce its own principles. That's why it saddens me so much when I have all this